midweek, week two summary for marketing strategy MBA 631. Again, I hope you're having a great week this week. We're moving along in the course. We're packing a lot of information in and a lot of moving parts. So I wanted to just make sure that as we're working through material week two, that you have a comfort level of what we're doing and what things I think are important in this week's material, and the points of emphasis I like to make. So I've provided in Moodle a one-page week in detail. If you go into the tile for this week and click, it's a single Word document, but it outlines the key topics in the textbook. And then I have a little bit of supplemental material, plus we have the reflection as well. And so, again, it's just a sort of a snapshot of this week, what we're doing this week, kind of a little bit of the takeaways, some of the takeaways I think that are important in terms of the material. And again, the textbook walks through a lot of very important concepts. Some of them I feel like need a little bit more of a deeper dive, and so that's what I focus on. And that should never dismiss the other parts of the chapter material, but I feel like some are ones I really want you to have a better background in for marketing strategy in general, and then running a business or an organization as well. So this week is all about strategic planning. There's a little bit this is a big wide open space, so this chapter doesn't cover everything, but it covers a lot and adds a few extra pieces which I think are kind of interesting as well. So when we look bullet by bullet, what we want to focus on: strategic planning goals. And again, for us in this class, I want you to really hone in on the purpose and the mission of the firm. The purpose of an organization has shifted a lot over the last few years, and there's a specific marketing strategy associated with what's called cause-related marketing, or it's sometimes part of a corporate social responsibility platform, a CSR platform, but the strategy in and of itself for a firm to align itself with a cause, like a social cause, has enormous market impacts. It has an enormous impact on branding, firm identity, positioning in the marketplace, and a lot of things that we do in marketing. And so it's been a strategy that's been developed and employed in part or wholeheartedly over the last several years, maybe 8 to 10 years. The very first form of cause-related marketing, interestingly, is defined as American Express's 1983 campaign to raise money to refurbish the Statue of Liberty. And so a portion of every transaction in 1983 in this program by American Express, was designated. There were pennies to go, were designated to help restore the Statue of Liberty, and they used that as a campaign to encourage people to use that specific card. Now, since then, the purpose and role of the firm has emerged to oftentimes include some type of a social element as well as a financial element. So if you scroll down and look at the reflection for this week, that's exactly what it deals with, this notion that the value organizations, and especially for-profit businesses, provide, the value they provide is not only financial, and probably rightfully so should be financial, at least as its primary goal and objective and mission, but also markets have dictated and have enormous influence on businesses to also show and produce some form of social value as well. So, again, this is a deeper dive than what the text would do, but it also highlights a strategy that lots of companies are employing right now to help push market share, help gain better or stronger competitive positionings, help relate or come to a market better, where they relate to the consumers in a more personable way, where consumer social goals and firm social goals are more in line with each other. And that then produces happier customers and more loyal customers and all good things when it comes to customer relationships. So that's why, in particular, I want to focus on that a little bit this week. The text also talks about different components of missions, strategic process for including the planning process for marketing in particular. And also they talk about something called product portfolios, which they spend a good amount of time in, the text does, but it truly deserves a deeper dive. So I have some videos and some more material on portfolio analysis, which is well worth looking into. If you remember taking a principles class, and if you recall seeing the Boston Consultant Group growth share matrix, that would be the matrix of products that are either cash cows or dogs or question marks or rising stars. Those four types of products, again, if you've had a marketing course, those might stand out as something you remember. Well, those are used in a product portfolio analysis. That's where that application of that tool is, and that's what they talk about. They also provide Peter Drucker's interpretation of products using very similar framework as that 2x2 matrix that the Boston Consulting Group uses. So that's another area to go deeper into and understand a little bit more. It's worth looking into. So, again, the chapter covers a number of things that are worth looking into. I go deeper into a few other ones, in particular the reflection today. You have a couple readings with Patagonia as an example application, and also Barilla Pasta as an example application. There are a couple other ones too. Cannibalize Your Own Products, that deals with managing a portfolio of products in a product life cycle and purposefully discontinuing one and having another one replace it in your portfolio, but also the effect is it extends the product life cycle for that product category, product line that you have. And Steve Jobs, and with just 8 words article, fantastic one-pager, vitally important to read, just because it's fundamental to understanding what innovation does to a company, but also how the active management of your portfolios will impact the direction of the company. That's really the big takeaway that I want you to see and make that connection with. So please read those. Please look at those and think of those. And I think you'll find value in them. I think they'll be helpful to you. So again, I want to express that we're in the middle of the term now. I know this is only week 2. This week I also launched and introduced the idea of the first case. The first case is due next week. We'll also have another reflection due next week as well. So that discussion reflection for you, if you're online, will help. But also, if you're offline, you have the discussion too. But the first case, the P&G scope case, it involves a lot of information, a lot of detail. I want you to watch and focus on the case analysis video. I want you to kind of get your feet wet. And the cases and even the reflections are very much a practice in developing your critical thinking. That's what needs to be developed. You're going to learn lots of facts. You're going to learn lots of theory. You're going to learn lots of strategy, which will fade away and you'll forget eventually. But to train your mind to think critically will never leave you, and it only gets more developed the more you do it. So that's what case-based studying does. You have to apply knowledge to a situation, and you have to analyze what the effects of that, of your decisions will be in that case. And so that's why it's done in so many different marketing or so many different MBA courses. And it's the highest level of learning you can achieve. So that's kind of why we why we do this, basically. So the case is introduced. The second big thing introduced this last week, or this week, I guess, is the team and team projects. So I've set up a team for you in Microsoft Teams, not to overuse that term, but that's been set up for you. Your first task is to choose the product category that your team will work in and choose a company that is either in that product category or tangential to it, where it may be a nice complementary space for them to move into. I created a video and I've talked about it in class, so your task is with your team to come up with the idea for those things and let me know what you choose. Again, if I see any red flags or issues, I'll most definitely talk to you about it. I'll raise those. If you're running into any questions or stumbling blocks, simply reach out to me and we'll find a time to talk about them and figure it out. So anyways, this has been a midweek just sort of update, just to touch base with you and check in, review where we are and so forth. Have a great rest of the week. Talk to you soon.